The night is a black, freezing blanket. It's 1942. The air raid sirens have just fallen silent, leaving an even more terrifying quiet in their wake. In a London cellar, the damp seeps through your clothes, chilling you to the bone. There is no electricity, no roaring fire to keep the family warm. The cold is a relentless enemy, just as dangerous as the bombs that fell from the sky only moments ago. You can see your breath clouding in the weak beam of a single flashlight. Children huddle together, their small bodies shivering, their faces etched with fear and cold. This was the reality for millions, a nightly battle for survival against an unforgiving winter. The fight for warmth was a fight for life itself. Imagine being a soldier on the Eastern Front, dug into a frozen trench. The snow piles high around you, and the wind cuts like a razor. Your fingers are numb, your feet feel like blocks of ice. A fire is out of the question. The light would give away your position to the enemy in an instant. You need warmth to keep your mind sharp, to keep your trigger finger from freezing solid. How do you survive when the temperature plummets far below zero? This desperate need, this raw, primal struggle against the elements, forces you to think. It pushes human ingenuity to its absolute limits, forcing you to look at the scraps around you, not as rubbish, but as life-saving resources. Back in the cities, families faced the same bitter enemy. With fuel rationed and power grids shattered by bombing raids, keeping a home warm was a monumental task. People wore every layer of clothing they owned, stuffing newspapers into their jackets for extra insulation. But it was never enough. The cold was an insidious foe that crept into every room, every shelter, making sleep impossible and sickness a constant threat. In these dark, frigid hours, a simple, warm meal felt like an impossible luxury. The need for a small, contained and efficient source of heat was not just a matter of comfort, it was a matter of enduring until the morning sun offered its weak promise of warmth. This is where the story of our survival secret begins. It starts in the desperation of these frozen nights. It's born from the rubble of bombed-out buildings and the meager supplies of a soldier's pack. When all modern conveniences are stripped away, you are left with your wits and whatever you can find. People needed a solution that was simple, effective, and could be made from the debris of war. They needed a small flame that could do more than just provide light. They needed it to generate real, life-sustaining heat. And from this urgent need, an incredible piece of survival tech was born, a candle that could heat a small room. Out of this freezing desperation came a brilliant invention. It was known by many names: the trench candle, the buddy burner, or simply the shelter heater. This wasn't your ordinary candle. This was a powerful, long-lasting heat source created from things people threw away. It was a testament to human resilience. When faced with a problem, we innovate, we adapt, we overcome. The trench candle was the perfect example of this spirit. It took the most basic materials, a tin can, some cardboard, and leftover wax or grease, and turned them into a miniature furnace. It was a small, portable beacon of hope in the darkest of times, proving that survival often depends on what you can create with your own two hands. The beauty of this device was its simplicity. Anyone could make one. You didn't need a factory or special tools. All you needed was the will to survive and a bit of resourcefulness. Soldiers on the front lines could scrounge for tins from their rations. Civilians could find cans in the rubble of their own neighborhoods. Cardboard was everywhere, from ration boxes to old packaging. And the fuel. That could be anything from old candle stubs and crayons to bacon grease or paraffin wax. This accessibility made the candle heater a democratic tool for survival, available to anyone who knew the secret of its construction. It was a small victory against the cold, crafted from the scraps of a world at war. This invention spread like wildfire, passed from soldier to soldier, neighbor to neighbor. It was a piece of knowledge that was too valuable to keep to oneself. Imagine a soldier showing his comrade how to roll cardboard into a tin, or a mother in a bomb shelter teaching others how to melt wax to create a source of warmth for their children. This was more than just a craft. It was a shared act of defiance against the harsh conditions they all faced. The candle became a symbol of community and shared struggle. In a world torn apart by conflict, the simple act of making and sharing these heaters brought people together, united in their fight to endure another cold night. The trench candle was a game changer. For soldiers, it meant they could warm their hands before a patrol, or heat a can of rations without a smoky fire. In a cramped dugout, the heat from one of these small tins could raise the temperature by several crucial degrees, staving off frostbite and boosting morale. For families in shelters, it was a lifeline. It could heat a small pot of soup, dry damp socks, or simply provide a warm spot for children to gather around. It was a small object that made a massive difference, turning a cold, miserable space into a place of relative comfort and safety. It was survival engineering at its finest. So, how did they build this amazing survival tool? The process was ingenious in its simplicity, using each component for maximum effect. First, you needed a container. A shallow metal tin was perfect, something like a boot polish tin, a tobacco can, or the bottom of a food can. The metal was key because it could withstand the heat and conduct it outwards, turning the entire can into a small radiator. A shallow can was better because it created a wider surface area for the flame, which is exactly what you want, for generating heat rather than just light. The container wasn't just holding the fuel, it was an active part of the heating system. Next came the wick, but this was no ordinary string wick. The secret was corrugated cardboard. You had to cut a long strip of it, making sure the width was just shorter than the depth of your tin can. Then, you would roll the cardboard strip tightly into a spiral like a snail shell. This rolled-up cardboard was then fitted snugly inside the tin can. The corrugations, those little wavy tunnels in the cardboard, were absolutely critical. They acted as a massive, multi-channeled wick, allowing the melted wax to be drawn up across a huge surface area. This design was the key to creating a large, stable, and incredibly hot flame. Once the cardboard coil was packed tightly into the tin, it was time for the fuel. This is where resourcefulness really came into play. Anything waxy or greasy would work. People would melt down the stubs of old candles, saving every last drop. They would render animal fat, collecting bacon grease or lard in a jar. Even crayons could be melted down and added to the mix. This melted fuel was then poured slowly over the cardboard, soaking deep into the corrugations, and filling the tin can to the brim. The cardboard would absorb the liquid wax like a sponge, holding a massive amount of fuel ready to be burned. The final step was to let the wax cool and harden completely. Sometimes a small starter wick made of a twisted piece of paper or a cotton string would be placed in the center before the wax set, making it easier to light the first time. But often it wasn't even necessary. You could simply heat the edge of the can with a match until a small pool of wax melted, and then light the cardboard edge. Once lit, the flame would slowly spread across the entire surface of the cardboard, creating a wide, consistent, and surprisingly powerful source of heat. This simple, four-step process turned trash into a treasure of warmth. Why did this simple contraption work so well? The science behind the trench candle is brilliant and leverages a few key principles of combustion. A normal candle has a single, small wick. It produces a tall, thin flame, which is great for light but not very efficient at generating heat. The trench candle, however, is a completely different beast. The coiled, corrugated cardboard acts as a massive super wick. All those tiny tunnels in the cardboard use capillary action to draw up the melted wax across the entire surface of the can. This means you don't have one small flame. You have hundreds of tiny flames burning together across a wide area. This large surface area is the secret to its heating power. Think about it. A bigger fire produces more heat. By creating a wide, flat flame surface instead of a tall, pointy one, the trench candle maximizes the amount of fuel it can burn at any one time. This results in a much higher thermal output, or heat energy. Furthermore, the heat isn't just rising straight up and disappearing. The metal tin absorbs a significant amount of this heat and radiates it outwards in all directions. The can itself becomes a small space heater, warming the air around it. This is far more effective for heating a small enclosed space than a simple candlestick. Another key factor is the efficiency of the burn. Because the flame is spread out and sits low in the can, it's a very stable and controlled burn. The design prevents the flame from getting too large or smoky, assuming it's fueled correctly. The cardboard holds the wax in place, releasing it slowly as it melts. This creates a long-lasting and consistent heat source. A well-made trench candle could burn for several hours, providing a steady stream of warmth that was far more reliable than a bundle of twigs or a traditional lamp. It was a slow, steady release of energy, perfect for enduring a long, cold night in a shelter or trench. Finally, the design also offered a degree of safety and control. The flame was contained within the metal walls of the tin, reducing the risk of it spreading. To extinguish the flame, you didn't need to blow it out, which could splash hot wax. You simply placed the lid back on the tin, or used a flat piece of metal to cover it. This would starve the fire of oxygen and snuff it out instantly. This also had the added benefit of trapping the remaining fuel and any wax fumes inside the can, ready for the next use. It was a simple, smart, and self-contained system, perfect for the challenging conditions of wartime. These incredible little heaters appear in historical accounts, diaries, and letters from the war. They were a common feature of life in the London Underground, where thousands of people sheltered during the Blitz. In her diary, one woman living in London described the small tins of light and warmth that people would share in the crowded, damp stations. She wrote about the faint smell of melting wax mixing with the scent of damp earth and fear, but noted how the small glow of a buddy burner could create a circle of comfort. People would gather around them, warming their hands, sharing stories, and finding a small sense of normalcy amid the chaos above ground. Soldiers' letters home also mention these improvised heaters. A British soldier stationed in the Ardennes during the bitterly cold winter of 1944 wrote about how his squad would create them from their empty ration tins. He described how the small flame from a trenchlight was all they had to keep their fingers from freezing to their rifles. He recalled heating a mug of tea over the steady flame, calling it the best cup of tea I've ever had. These small acts of self-sufficiency were huge morale boosters, tangible proof that they could exert some control over their miserable environment and take care of themselves and their mates. The ingenuity wasn't limited to soldiers and city dwellers. Reports from resistance fighters operating in occupied Europe show that they also relied on these simple devices. Hiding in forests, attics, and cellars, they needed a source of heat that was smokeless and portable. The trench candle was perfect. It allowed them to stay warm, without giving away their position to enemy patrols. There are anecdotes of fighters using them to dry wet maps, warm frozen gun oil, and even perform minor medical procedures in the dim, flickering light. For them, the candle was not just about comfort, it was a critical tool for their covert operations and survival. These historical examples show us that the trench candle was more than just a clever idea. It was a widely used and essential piece of survival equipment. It was a piece of folk technology, born from collective wisdom and shared necessity. From the bomb shelters of Coventry to the foxholes of Bastogne, this humble tin can heater provided warmth, light, and hope. It was a symbol of human ingenuity in the face of overwhelming adversity. Hearing these stories connects us directly to the past, reminding us of the incredible resilience of the human spirit and the simple solutions that can make all the difference when everything else is gone. This piece of history is not just a story, it's a practical skill you can learn today. Building a trench candle is a fantastic project that teaches resourcefulness and prepares you for emergencies. First, gather your materials. You'll need a shallow metal can with a lid, like a large shoe polish tin or a tuna can. Just make sure it's clean and the lid fits. Next, find some corrugated cardboard. An old shipping box is perfect. Finally, you need your fuel. Paraffin wax, old candles, or even crayons will work great. For safety, always do this project outdoors or in a well-ventilated garage and have a fire extinguisher nearby. Now let's get building. Cut the cardboard into strips. The width of the strips should be slightly less than the depth of your tin. You want the cardboard to sit just below the rim. Start rolling one strip of cardboard into a tight spiral. When you reach the end of a strip, just add another and keep rolling until your cardboard coil is the same diameter as your can. You want it to fit snugly inside without having to force it. Place the cardboard coil into the can. If you want, you can add a small wick in the center, like a piece of cotton string, to make it easier to light later. Next, it's time to melt your wax. This is the part where adult supervision is essential. Use a double boiler to melt the wax safely. A double boiler is just a smaller pot or can sitting in a larger pot of simmering water. Never melt wax directly over a flame, as it can ignite. As the wax melts, slowly and carefully pour it over the cardboard in your tin. You will see bubbles as the air in the corrugations escapes. Keep adding wax until it completely covers the cardboard and fills the tin. Let it soak in for a few minutes, then top it off if needed. Finally, let your trench candle cool completely. This can take a few hours. The wax will harden, trapping the fuel-soaked cardboard inside. Once it's solid, your survival heater is ready. To use it, Simply light the central wick or hold a flame to one edge of the cardboard until the wax melts and the cardboard ignites. The flame will slowly spread across the surface. You now have a portable, long-lasting source of heat and light. It's a fantastic addition to your car emergency kit, your camping gear, or your home blackout box. You've just rediscovered a vital survival skill from the past. Using your trench candle safely is just as important as building it correctly. This is a real fire, and it needs to be treated with respect. Always place it on a level, fireproof surface like a brick, a stone, or a metal tray. Keep it away from anything flammable. Tents, sleeping bags, curtains, you name it. The can will get extremely hot, so never touch it while it's burning, and let it cool down completely before you try to move it. To extinguish it, simply slide the lid over the top to cut off the oxygen. Don't use water as it can splash the hot wax and cause burns or spread the fire. One of the biggest risks with any flame is carbon monoxide, a silent and deadly gas. Never, ever use a trench candle in a sealed, unventilated space like a car or a modern airtight room without cracking a window. During World War II, people were using these in drafty cellars and shelters where there was more natural airflow. For modern use, ensure you have proper ventilation. A slightly open window or tent flap is crucial to allow fresh oxygen in and let any fumes out. A small, battery-powered carbon monoxide detector is an essential piece of kit if you plan on using this for emergency heating. Safety first, always. Learning to make a trench candle does more than just give you a piece of emergency gear. It connects you to that incredible wartime spirit of resourcefulness. It teaches you to look at the world differently, to see potential in items that others might throw away. An old can, a cardboard box, a broken crayon. These are not junk. They are resources. This mindset is the core of all survival. It's about being adaptable, creative, and making the most of what you have. This simple project is a powerful lesson in self-reliance and proves that you don't need expensive gear to be prepared for the unexpected. So, I encourage you to keep this knowledge alive. Teach it to your friends, your family, your kids. Build one yourself and feel the satisfaction of creating something so useful from such simple materials. By reviving these lost skills, we honor the ingenuity of those who came before us, and we better prepare ourselves for the future. The world can be an unpredictable place, but knowing how to create your own warmth and light is a fundamental skill that will never go out of style. The flame of the trench candle is a symbol of resilience, a reminder that even in the coldest, darkest times, a little bit of knowledge can make all the difference.